how do you get started on thinking about the science of luck? As far as I was aware, luck was some random chance, blessed to some and not to others, and the end of a rainbow and a pot of gold and stuff like that. Where does the science of luck come into it?
Yeah, that's a great question because, we always assume that luck is something that just happens to us, right? So, being born into a nice family, stuff like that we can't really influence. What I found fascinating, both in my work as entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, but also in my research, is that somehow the most successful, inspiring people, they seem to have in common that they somehow intuitively cultivate a little bit more luck than others. And so I got fascinated by that question. Is there some kind of smart luck here? Is there some kind of process we can influence? So take the example, right? Imagine you have erratic hand movements like I do, and you then you spill a lot of coffee. And so imagine you spill coffee in a coffee shop over someone, and they look at you slightly annoyedly, but you sense there might be something there. You don't know what it is. You just sense there might be something there. And now you have two options, right? Option number one is you just say, I'm so sorry. Here's a napkin. You walk outside and you think, what could have happened had I spoken with a person? Option number two, you speak with a person. That person turns out to become the love of your life or your co-founder or you name it. The point is our reaction to the unexpected, us making the accident meaningful, in a way creates that kind of smart luck, that kind of serendipity. And so in a way, a lot of our research focuses on the question, is there a pattern behind all these different stories of serendipity? Is that always the same process of some kind of unexpected trigger happening, but then us connecting the dots and doing something with it? And so that's the fascinating thing. We can create more of those triggers, but also we can learn how to connect those dots better.
So is the difference between luck and serendipity, whether it's random or whether it's purposeful or intentional?
Well, it's interesting because in a way, both kind of the blind luck and the smart luck, which serendipity is, somehow have some kind of randomness in it, right? Bumping into that person at a conference, or I'll tell you the example of the potato washing machine to give you that point. But the idea is that there's always some kind of element of randomness, but then we have some kind of agency in it. We have some kind of control over not the situation itself, but our response to it. And so take the potato washing machine, right? Essentially, a couple of years ago, a company in China, they produce refrigerators, washing machines, and so on. And they received calls from farmers. And the farmers told them, your crappy washing machine is always breaking down. Well, why is the washing machine breaking down? Well, we're trying to wash our potatoes and it doesn't seem to work. So what would we usually do? We'll probably tell them, well, don't wash your potatoes in the washing machine. Like, it's made for clothes. Well, why would you do that? They did the opposite. They said, you know what? That's unexpected. That's random. But there's probably a lot of farmers in China who have a similar problem. So why don't we build in a dirt filter and make it a potato washing machine? That's how serendipity, so the potato washing machine emerged. That's how up to 50% of innovations and inventions emerge. That's how a lot of times we fall in love. It's not only bumping into that person. We have to go on a date. We have to do something with it to actually turn it into that kind of positive outcome that doesn't just happen to us.
It seems to me that there's two things that we're playing with here. One of them being how frequently we can put ourselves into situations where the randomness can come to us, and then also our response to those situations, which is kind of how we profit or benefit or make good of whatever happens. Is that right?
Absolutely. It's kind of like, in a way, making the accident meaningful. And, that's the exciting thing.
Having more accidents.
Having more accidents, right? Like we can literally create more positive accidents.
Yeah, that's interesting. Is serendipity still serendipity if you take an active role in it?
Well, that's the fascinating thing, right? When people connect the dots at hindsight, when they look at their CV or so, they would say, oh, this was just lucky there and this lucky here. But then they think about it and they're like, oh, but actually, you know what? I worked really hard to have that luck. I worked really hard to then follow up with that conference guy I bumped into and then do this and do this. And so the point here is that actually, when you look at serendipity, and the role of people in it, it's more than we think, but we airbrush it out of our stories, right? I work a lot with executives, and when you're the CEO of a company, you come into the boardroom and you want to be able to say, I planned this, I did this, and then this happened, right? Yeah, everyone knows that, like, it's probably more like a squiggle, like our CV, right? It's not just, I planned this, I did this, I did this. No, like you bumped into someone and you did this. But, and that's what I'm so fascinated about this topic, it's instead of thinking, oh, this is weak, oh my God, like I wasn't in control, this is actually the ultimate form of trying to figure out how to gain some kind of control over your environment and let go of an illusion of control to say, hey, I created a mindset and a culture that allows actually for those unexpected things to happen instead of actually overlooking them, right? You would never see the potato washing machine if you would say, no, this doesn't fit my marketing plan. It shouldn't be here. Yeah, it doesn't happen. And you will be in control of your old plan, but maybe you'll be out of business in a few years when there's so many farmers who actually wanted that machine and your competitor did it, right? And so it's really these kind of things where it's our control over those kind of things.
Well, you can't stop the randomness. That's going to continue to happen. So I think you're right. Getting ready to control that. It feels like the sort of old school business world where everybody would have to wear a suit and a tie and everybody would have to work from the office and everyone would have to be very prim and proper. I think that illusion of control is kind of masking over the fact that it's idiots all the way up. I've got a bunch of friends that I've met, and I've spent a bit of time with people that are around literally the highest echelons of tech and of business and of finance. And they've said to me, dude, no one has an idea what they're doing. Everyone is clueless the entire way up, all the way up, and everyone's winging it. So getting ourselves to this stage now where you go, okay, look, the veil has been lifted. There is no magic that's sort of going on here. What we're trying to do is create a culture or an environment in which this randomness can be profited on. Didn't you have a story about, was it Viagra as well?
Absolutely. And you know, to exactly your point, right? That's the fascinating thing, that once you let go of this idea that you can control everything, then actually you start building that muscle for the unexpected, and that decreases anxiety. You know, I come from Germany. We love to control things, to plan things, to have a plan, right? And then real life happens. You're like, oh my God, like now I'm overwhelmed. Versus if you're saying, you know what, you know, I'll have a plan now, but I'm already building in the expectation that there will be something unexpected, and that's not a threat. That could actually be something even more beautiful, right? And we can talk about other examples there. For example, Viagra, right? Viagra is exactly this, where researchers were giving people medication against angina pectoris, the illness, and they realized unexpectedly there was some kind of movement in male participants' trousers. And you know what would we usually do? We'll probably either try to ignore it or kind of find a better way to kind of, you know, get rid of that side effect of having that kind of movement. They did the opposite. They said, you know what, that's unexpected, but there's probably a lot of men in the world who might have a problem in that department. So why don't we develop a medication around this? And that's really the thing here, right? To exactly your point, that if we're trying to stick with our original plan, just focus on this, we don't see all these beautiful other things that might come of it. And that's the same, you know, in any part in life. And that's what the excitement is. I think that there's so many meaningful potentialities out there, but we have to open our eyes to it.